The GXP was developed because we had finally prototyped and tested a bolt-on replaceable piercing tip system, which is something that customers have been asking for over 15 years. There have been a lot of attempts at doing it and a lot of attempts that have failed. Genesis finally developed a system that worked extremely well, and it almost immediately became apparent that we had to design it into a brand new line of shears. And during that redesign, all the things that we had learned as a company up to that point were also incorporated into the shear.
The bolt-on piercing tip is something that we developed that's made a huge difference for our customers and has really changed the industry. Before, the blade pocket would end before the jaw tip and the tip would be welded in. The problem was this would get rounded and mushroomed, so eventually you'd have to cut it out and put a new one in. And if you did it right, it would take several hours. So what we did was to design a totally bolt-in tip. Now you just swap it out and in 15 minutes you're shearing again.
We introduced that tip despite all the skepticism from our competitors and even our customers. It proved itself. It's been in the field for a long time, and everyone who has it truly does love it.
One of the advantages that the GXP shear has against the competitors is the dual guide blade system that we use in the lower jaw.
The whole entire lower jaw is encased with bolt-on wear parts, which can be replaced and adjusted very quickly in the field.
If you're doing a lot of piercing, the blades tend to get really hot. When they get hot, they expand and your blade gap goes down to nothing. To address this problem, we created dual guide blades that can be shimmed to adjust the gap where your piercing tip goes through. Now, if you're going to be doing a lot of piercing, you can adjust your gaps on both sides of the piercing tip to compensate for any expansion as the blades heat up. Loosen up the bolts, reach in, take a few shims out behind your guide blades, open up the gap, takes maybe 10 minutes, and the problem goes away. Better cutting, less wear, everybody's happy.
The other advantage is now that all the upper jaw and the lower jaw are surrounded by blade steel, you can come back to the way it left the factory simply by changing out wear parts. The wear parts then will work against each other the way it did when it was built. It's not a function of welding and grinding. It's on bolting and bolting new parts in place, and you should be very, very close, even after a long period of time of use, to the way it left the factory when it was a brand new shear.
The XP shear is assembled with an oversized main shaft and an underboard upper jaw.
During manufacturing, we put the main shaft in dry ice to shrink it down, and we heat the upper to expand it. Then we quickly insert the shaft into the upper. Once everything reaches equilibrium, the upper squeezes the main shaft so tightly it can't rotate or move side to side.
That press fit maintains the integrity of that entire pivot group. The shaft itself rotates every time the jaw opens and closes. What this means for our customers is an extended life on their shear, less maintenance, less wear, and again, more productivity. That all translates into better bottom line for them. The Genesis Auto Guide assembly it provides support for the back side of the upper jaw, the movable jaw. In the case of making a cut, the jaw wants to deflect away from the material being cut, and the Auto Guide assembly gives it support on the back side of the pivot group.
Some manufacturers use a big screw here with threads that are susceptible to grit or mashing.
The screw would get bent, it would get stuck, corroded, and then the user in the field often never made the adjustment, causing undue wear to his pivot group, his blades, and just overall fatigue to the shear.
With our design, there's none of that.
We've developed a system that actually uses shims, so you can loosen that part, slide shims in and tighten it down, and you're done.
Very quick, very simple, and basically bulletproof. Won't get broken, won't get corroded.
Jaws with an offset apex are another Genesis design feature that's been validated in the field. Here's your lower and here's your upper jaw blades. With a symmetrical arrangement, when you're cutting, you're applying force here, 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 and here. If the geometry is offset, you're applying the same force in only 3 places, so it's more concentrated. More power just from offsetting the design.
Genesis XP Shear has hydraulic regeneration to give it a fast cycle time.
Normally, to make hydraulics move, you send oil to the bore side of the cylinder and it moves the piston out. When that happens, the oil that's on the rod side circulates all the way back to the excavator. What we've done is create a valve that opens when there's no load so that the oil going back from the rod side is also routed into the bore, which causes everything to move faster, nearly twice as fast.
Genesis has never built a mobile shear that did not have a speed valve in it. From the very beginning of the company, Genesis put a regen or a speed valve in its shears. It's a very important consideration to the customers who own our products. The open and close time of a shear results in more cuts being made per day, per shift, per hour. The more cuts that are being made, the more material is being processed in a given time. We have updated and redesigned the speed valve over the years, but it's a very, very important point to the customer that our increased speed increases their ability to make a profit with our tool. One of the design parameters of our attachments that contain their own hydraulic cylinders is to design the body of the unit itself in such a way that it can stand up to the strength of these very large cylinders and still protect the moving parts, especially the cylinder, from debris and from damage from the outside.
Many competitors use some kind of open design where the cylinders or some parts of the cylinders and hydraulic hoses are exposed. With our box style design, everything is tucked away and protected.
The GXP uses a body that we call the integral shroud style, which means that the entire structure wraps around the hydraulic cylinder that operates the shear.
It provides so much more structural support. We don't have cracking issues, we don't have body breaks, we don't have debris falling within the cylinder and scratching the rod. It's just an overall better design. The Genesis Max series involves two models, 660 and 990. What we've done is incorporated a standard shear body with a larger size cylinder and a longer lever arm. Designed for heavy piercing, heavy steel cutting applications like strong structural, oversized structural steel.
It's a shear that is specifically for hard work, for certain types of applications that require a great deal of power.
It's all about power. Manufacturers like to tout the size of their jaw openings, but if you don't have the power, it doesn't do you any good to have the huge jaw opening. In fact, it's rare to use the whole opening anyway. You're just not going to eat a whole rail car in one bite. So what we've done with the Max series is combine a compact jaw with a larger size cylinder, which causes the power to increase dramatically. In fact, people are often surprised to learn that this arrangement delivers substantially more power than the pairing of a large size jaw and a large cylinder.
And yet, their customers can mount the shear on a smaller excavator than normally they would in order to get that same power and cutting ability.
For example, we can now offer a shear that does on a 70,000 pound excavator what used to require a 100,000 pound excavator. So his daily operational costs are lower on the smaller machine. The actual investment of the smaller machine is quite a lot lower, and he still gets the same hard work done.
So what we've done is taken our highly successful XP shears and bumped it to the next level. Substantial power in a smaller package.
Genesis XP shears are available in a wide variety of sizes and models. We make them to fit as small as a 20,000 pound excavator or as large as a 250,000 pound excavator. Each of those models is available as a non-rotating or also available with 360-degree rotation.
The GXP shear also has found a new home on the high-reach demolition machines, the custom-built machines for the high-reach demolition work.